वबरकातुहू खुशामदीद। हम आपको उम्मीद है आपको नज़म पसंद आई होगी और जिस तरह के हमने अर्ज़ किया था आपकी खिदमत में मुख्तलिफ रंगारंग प्रोग्राम पेश करने का इरादा है। हम बहुत खुश हैं खुदा के फजल से और इस खुशी में हमारे साथ आज शामिल हैं हमारे दो नहायत मेहमान guest, and I have to switch back to English because now is the time to communicate for those who speak English. So I'm very honored and privileged that in the studio today we have two guests. I will call them guests, but they will correct me if they want to. I have Mukarram Muhtaram Maulana Nasim Mahdi Sahib, our ex-missionary in charge and Amir Canada. And now currently he's serving in the United States of America as a missionary in charge and a Naib Amir. And I also have along with him his colleague and a dear mentor and friend, Maulana Mubarak Nazir Sahib, who was ex-principal Jamia Ahmadiyya Canada, and currently he is a Naib Amir and a missionary in charge of Canada. I welcome you both in the studio, and I'm so delighted that you guys are here because this history which we saw yesterday into the making and now, mashallah, a great thing. Mahdi Sahib, if I could request you to start and bring us back on the speed. You've been through with all these projects and mashallah, now you see something right in front of your eyes. What do you feel?
I came to Canada in May 1985, and my first trip out of Toronto was Vancouver. And Vancouver is 4,400 kilometers from Toronto, and by the grace of Allah I have driven many times, you know, and enjoyed the Canadian beauty and all this. So when I came to Vancouver, we had a very small, perhaps two-bedroom house in Burnaby, and downstairs was the prayer area. And I remember I sat with some of the senior members of the Jamaat, and I was very much moved by their sincerity, by their spirituality. They were in tears, and they told me the story, how they started this Jamaat. And interestingly, they were very happy that now we are a big Jamaat, and I think the total number was perhaps 30, 40, including children, or plus minus, maximum could be 50. And they were telling me the days when there were only 3 people on the day of Eid, and here we have so many people in Jummah and etc. And now when I compare what has happened that in the last 30 years is amazing, that now we have built a mosque which can accommodate more than 2,400 people, and it was full, you know, yesterday and Friday and Jummah prayer. So this is how, by the grace of Allah, Jamaat is experiencing the heavy rain of Allah's blessings. It's not only Canada and US, but all over the world. We see that how very rapidly, and especially in the last 10 years in Khilafat Khamsa, we see that it's not, you know, the speed is not increasing, but it's this sort of acceleration, that how things are happening so rapidly. And we are marching forward to the final victory of Islam.
Maulana Sahib, you know, you've been in this from last 20-some years, and you have seen this place when it was bought. Have you ever visioned then that we're going to have this beautiful mosque here, and what are your feeling and thoughts about when you look at this beautiful piece of architecture as well?
Mirza Sahib, not even in my dreams. Not, you know, not in my dreams. Amir Sahib sent me to Vancouver in 1988, and I stayed in that little house with my wife and with my daughter for about 15 days. And Chaudhry Rashid Sahib, who was our president over here, was a very noble person. And now you fast forward that film, and you fly on the Alex Fraser Bridge, and you look to your right, and you see this jewel standing. It's a dream come true. and it's all the blessings of Allah. This is a divine community. We had never expected that we will have that opportunity to spend such a colossal amount, especially after we had just built the Tahir complex, costing over $10 million. And our community is such that when even the government wanted to help us, we returned that money. We want to stand on our own. This is, the respect that they have for the Ahmadiyya Jamaat, that these are the people who do not go with a begging bowl. We are a privileged community, and we have this opportunity of abiding by the instructions of the Holy Prophet, that the upper hand is better than the lower hand. So by the grace of Allah, seeing this complex, and I seeing that throng of people yesterday, and I looked at those people, I had seen them very young. Some of the children had played in my lap, and now I saw them, grown-ups, and dedicating their time and their finances and their, emotions for the Jamaat, all a living testimony that this is a divine community. It's bound to succeed.
Sahib, if I could request you to, since you have been in LA as well with Huzur and a lot of things happening there, when we were talking about the mosque, I'm sure United States is also involved in so many projects. If you can briefly tell us what is happening there.
There are a lot of mosque projects on the drawing board, and last year we completed the Virginia Mosque. Huzur came and inaugurated that. It's much smaller than this one, but it was long overdue. This was a project we also delayed for many, many years. Now we are working on a Philadelphia Mosque, which will inshallah start next year, and it will be a bigger project. Philadelphia is very important in our history because our first missionary, who was a Sahabi, a companion of the Prophet Muhammad, Hazrat Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib, he came to Philadelphia first. And he was the first missionary, and not only that, he was the first missionary of Islam. No missionary has ever in history has come to United States with the message of Islam, and he was detained by the immigration authority, and he was kept for many weeks in a so-called jail because they were not sure whether to release him or not, and because he was a Sahabi of Hazrat Masih Maud, I could get a copy of a letter which he has written to an Ahmadi who was in India, and he said that things are very exciting and all this, but he did not have enough finances, and he writes about the difficulties he was going through. And look here now, millions of dollars are being spent by US Jamaat and by Canada Jamaat and others in building so many beautiful mosques, and we never imagined a few decades ago that it will be a reality. Now, Vancouver is also a corner of the earth because it's right on the Pacific Ocean. So this is also the fulfillment of a prophecy of Hazrat Masih Maud, which thousands of times has been fulfilled, or perhaps millions of times, that I will cause the message of your message to reach the corners of the earth. So we are very happy and we are very blessed that whether it's this side of the border or that side of the border, this is a beautiful Jamaat of Hazrat Masih Maud, and the heavy shower of Allah's blessing is the same.
Well, I'm going, this leads me to my next question as you ended here. In the USA or here, as you mentioned, Maulana Sahib, that we built Tahir Hall, a community center, for $10 million or more. Now, another $8, $9 million here, same thing happening in the USA. The same members, you are having the contribution done. How do you motivate them then, one after another? They don't get tired, rather you see them coming up back with the zeal and the emotion and paying for these projects.
When I see the people are writing checks, I got a commitment just recently by an Ahmadi that he will write a check of $1 million for a hospital in in Guatemala, which will be, built by the Jamaat. So you go back, and from where we had those blessings. Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ, on his last day, he was in Lahore, and he wanted to get out in the fresh air. So he said that, call a buggy or a tonga, and I want to get in the fresh air. And when he comes out, he gave that person, the coachman, that I have only 1 rupee in my pocket. And that is all what he had. And he said, take me for a ride, which will be, sufficient for you in 1 rupee. The blessing started from there. And he had only 1 rupee at that time. And now we have so many big cars and the most modern cars, and see that how Allah has blessed us. From that 1 rupee, now we have gone in millions. And this will increase, and we will be the community who will have billions of dollars of their budgets, and they will take care of all the needy and the poor, as Hazrat Masih Maud said about the system of Tariq-e-Jadid and system of Wasiyat.
When I talk of the financial sacrifices, both of you, people talk, you say, what, you be very careful. When they come to you, they're not going to go empty-handed. So, mashallah, Allah Ta'ala has given both of you this charisma to motivate people. Mubarak Sahib, I have been, traveling with you on and off.
Let me rectify.
Yes, please.
We don't have any charisma. We are the humble servants of Khilafat. I always had this habit that whenever we got out, we wrote a letter to Huzur for his prayers, and we are just, instruments in the hands of Khilafat. And we have no charisma, and we are worthless servants of Khilafat, and it is the blessing of Khilafat which motivates people to do more. Now Huzur's khutbah yesterday has motivated many people. They want to do more.
Correct.
And we have seen that when Huzur says something, people are ready, and many a time they will give you a blank check, and they say write any amount, and we will honor that.
Mubarak Sahib, also in Canada, since you are also hopping one from project to another, I'm sure you also have seen members not even caring about and just donating. Any thoughts on this?
Mahdi Sahib was talking about Guatemala. I have just returned from Guatemala. Hazur sent me to Guatemala, and I was in Guyana and Suriname and many other South American countries. You see, Mirza Sahib, some of our mosques are being desecrated in one country. Or the minarets are being destroyed, or the domes are being destroyed. We Ahmadis have a revenge against those people. And we have that loving revenge. And that loving revenge is that we will build hundreds of mosques in other parts of the world. I have just come from Sierra Leone also. And they destroy one mosque, we build hundreds of mosques. I was in Germany, and every month a new mosque is being built, a new mosque is being built. So this is a divine community.
Right.
By the grace of Allah, as Mahdi Sahib mentioned, we are mere instruments, in the hands of Allah. We go about, but by the grace of Allah, as we ask the people for their donations, although we talk, but obviously there is another voice.
Exactly.
That reveals into their hearts.
Very true. Very
and
true.
by the grace of Allah, some of the people, I have been in Africa, and I have seen people donating all that they had. I saw a poor man who brought a small bag of coins, and he said, "This is all that I have. I had kept it for a day." This is the type of people we have. These are people who cannot be defeated.
If I could ask you another very interesting question, since we're living in the West, and in Canada, in America, on and off things happen, and some Muslims are involved in some activities which are un-Islamic, so to speak. We being a very small minority within the Muslims, Mahdi Sahib, how do you maintain this exposure that, we are different, we are the Muslims who really care for peace? Your contribution, how do you maintain this focus that while on one side the entire media is talking about Islam is nothing but terrorism, look at these Muslims involved, and suddenly Jamaat Ahmadiyya, you or somebody else comes up and say, you know what, that's not Islam. How do you catch that?
I always take them as God-sent opportunities and blessings in disguise, as Mubarak Sahib put it when we were talking just before this interview. And Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salih Allah Ta'ala used to say that anything that happens in the world, it is part of that grand scheme of things, of the final victory of Islam. So you see how, you know, that satanic book written by Salman Rushdie just before 1989, when we were ready to distribute the Holy Quran in so many languages, because of that book and that hue and cry, and then the punishment announced by, or the edict announced, or fatwa announced by the mullahs in Iran, there was a lot of interest. And people said, we should see what the Holy Quran is, and this gave us the opportunity to distribute the Holy Quran. And then on 9/11, and you know, in the United States, on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, President Obama announced that we will commemorate the victims of 9/11. And I was also invited to White House, and I mentioned to him that we are the Muslims who believe in the Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, and we will commemorate the sanctity of life by giving blood. And Mr. Obama, when he met me, he was very happy, and he said no Muslim group has ever done this before. So it means that he saw that distinction. Just recently in a meeting in White House, they said that President Obama says after this Boston attack that where is that group that is having this blood drives and they're Muslims for life, and we should cooperate and work with them. So this is how a very worst situation is converted into a golden opportunity to promote that Islam which has been given and which has been taught by Hazrat Masih Maud.
Now, if I could lead this question to another one, mashallah, as you see slowly, we are being recognized as a group who is all for peace. You know, love for all, hatred for none, and all this contribution of blood and humanity first and there and there. Now, at the same time, if you look at the global circumstances of the world, it is perhaps leading toward a third world war, as Huzur has given, you know, advices to different prime ministers and presidents, and a suggestion, you know, what they should do, what should they not do, to avoid this catastrophe. Now, in your opinion, your estimation, in your knowledge, what do you think Jamaat Ahmadiyya can do to really become an impact where this can be avoided, and what makes you so certain as an Ahmadi that we can do this?
Huzur Anwar Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz has been delivering lectures. You know, he delivered the lecture on Capitol Hill in Washington, also in European Union, you know, headquarters in Brussels, and all over in peace conferences. And his message is that first of all, Islam promotes peace, and Islam promotes sanctity of life, and Islam does not promote, in reality, it condemns any kind of violence and terrorism in the name of Islam. And then at the same time, he is also giving a very strong message that if you don't deliver justice, if you don't just deliver, you know, or if you give up those double standards which you have, peace cannot be established in the world. And then he says that the world is very rapidly going towards a very serious disaster, and it could be a nuclear war. So come to senses, and to the general public he is saying that if you want peace and security, there is only one way, and that is the way which has been given to the promised Messiah alayhi salam. And he has come to, and he has established a community. If you want peace and security, come under the cover of Promised Messiah alayhi salam, and who is the representative of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is something which has to be delivered to the people. So as Huzur is saying to every Ahmadi, that get out and deliver this message. And you will see that more and more people will join us. And these are the people who will be secure.
MashaAllah. Well, Maulana Sahib, you know, all these efforts which are being made in the United States or in Canada, in your opinion, we know that, mashallah, on the very high level, efforts are being recognized. What do you think Ahmadis can offer to the either Canadians or USA or other people which other Muslim can't?
First of all, you see, we are highly thankful that many of the high-level dignitaries have spoken in favor of Jamaat-e-Ahmadiyya. But we are not satisfied with that, as Hazur has said a number of times. We must go out and deliver the message from door to door. Hazrat Masih Maud has said that if alas, if I had a knowledge of English, I would have gone as a beggar from door to door and delivered that message. So although we have the prime ministers and other dignitaries and presidents speak very highly of our Jamaat, and by the grace of Allah, we are not only singled out by our Muslim brethren, we are also singled out by the civilized world, that this is the divine community that is founded on peace. And by the grace of Allah, the more single out they make us, the more prominent we become. You and I have attended countless conferences and symposiums, and on each of these, whenever we make our presentation, half our time is spent on defending Islam, speaking about what other Muslims are doing, which is not Islamic. And we always sometimes are on the defensive. But that makes us all the more prominent. And our governments and institutions want to know that this small community, however small it is, why is it making such an impact in Africa, in other parts, in Europe, in other countries? So as Mahdi Sahib was also saying, this is a blessing in disguise. The more opposed we are, the more prominent we become. And I'm quite sure that by the grace of Allah, we will succeed. But our children have got a very great responsibility. If we are now in our final lap, trying to do this tabligh, our children, our grandchildren should be ready to take the gauntlet, should be ready to take the baton from our hands, and they should do whatever we could not do, whatever we could not accomplish, alas, that they should continue this message of peace, of the real Islam. That is the message, and that is what, you know, we sometimes feel very sad, that the image of the Holy Prophet Muhammad is being tarnished. We do not burn tires, we do not block roadways, we do not burn people's homes. We go with the Holy Quran. We are armed with the Holy Quran, and that's why we go from door to door. And I can see a re-awakening, and people are more interested in Islam, and more interested in the Holy Quran, and more interested in the image of the Holy Prophet.
Maulana Sahib and Mahdi Sahib, United States of America and Canada, not only within their jurisdiction or states, working in many efforts. We have so many other missions we are covering in different closed countries and all that. And I hope and pray that, you know, all of your efforts and our efforts bring the fruit. All the young missionaries are being, deputed, and mashallah, the way you guys are navigating in the light of Khalifatul Masih's instruction, we see in the near future lots of good things happening to the Jamaat. From that angle, as the Khilafat navigating us, what do you see so far, our, so to speak, next close target, inshallah, we will achieve?
The next is going to be South America. And I always had this feeling that we neglected that continent. Then I studied and thought about it, and then realized that for everything there is a time fixed by Allah and decreed by Allah. And if we would have gone earlier, because of a very strong hold of Catholicism in South America, we would have perhaps wasted time. So it was decreed that during the time of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Aziz, the doors will be open. And now, you know, there are a lot of people saying that that Catholicism is no more so strong as it used to be in the last 100 years or hundreds of years. So Huzur in his sermon in Los Angeles, he said that among the Spanish people we should have a bigger plan. We have a very active Spanish desk. We are also working with Spain Jamaat and Guatemala Jamaat, and there are so many people going to different countries of South America, and we are also working on Spanish websites, Spanish translation of the Holy Quran, which was already printed, and now it has been reviewed and it will be printed once again. A lot of literature is being made available. So next front is South America.
Inshallah.
We have 50 million Americans who speak Spanish.
Wow.
So we have requested Huzur, and Huzur have very graciously accepted this, that Spanish-speaking Rabbis will be given to us. And many Ahmadi, many students from Jamia, they are also planning to learn, and they have already started learning Spanish.
Maulana Sahib, since we mentioned that you are Principal Jamia Ahmadiyya and you, mashallah, have trained some of them and many of them, now they are graduates who are in the field. If you can briefly give us some, feeling of yours that the graduates you see, which have been trained through your hands and mashallah with the guidance of Mahdi Sahib at that time, what do you see them doing now? Are you happy with their performance?
I had the desire to see our, little seedlings that were planted by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Rabi and Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Khamis.
Correct.
They have germinated. I just went to many countries where our young missionaries are working, and I watched them, and I quietly looked at the way they were doing tabligh and the way they were behaving. I was, elated. I was very happy that by the grace of Allah, these youngsters who have got no problem with the English language, no problem with the Urdu language, and are highly educated, highly motivated, and have got a spiritual link with God the Almighty, and have got a relationship with Hazur Yadullah Ta'ala Mr. Aziz, and you see the kindness that Hazur bestows on these young missionaries. I am quite sure, and I have said it on many forums, that these youngsters, by the grace of Allah, who are graduating from the UK Jamia or from the Ghana Jamia or from the German Jamia or from Canadian Jamia, inshallah ta'ala, will make a revolution in this world.
Inshallah.
By the grace of Allah. I have, as I said earlier, I have been to South America and I have visited a lot of countries. And as Mahdi Sahib has said,
Right.
the power of Christianity is not in America, is not in Europe, it is in South America. There you have the power. There they have, and Hazrat Masih Maud came to diminish that power. So it's our responsibility that we tackle this problem, and that we do not have people who know the Spanish language.
Jazakumullah. I thank you, gentlemen, for coming and spending some time with us and enlightening us. Inshallah, we'll be bringing you more beautiful interviews to increase your faith in the matter of tabligh and conversions and all that. Inshallah, we'll come back soon. In the meantime, we would like you to enjoy a poem, and we'll see you in a bit. Thank you.